Hello, and welcome back to The Performer's Mind, the series where I explore the psychological journeys of the most iconic performers. Not to diagnose them, never, okay? We are not here to diagnose anyway, nobody, but we also don't know the full story. But it's really to understand what their struggles can teach us about our own. I'm Dr. Maja Jankowska, clinical and counseling psychologist and founder of Beyond the Spotlight Psychology. Today I want to talk to you about Gary Barlow, the British icon. I'm filming it from my garden. For once it's nice and sunny, so I'm hiding in the shade of the big tree. Anyway, back to Gary. When people think of Gary Barlow, they think professional, composed, decades on stage, someone who clearly has it all together. They have figured it out, right? And that's exactly why his story is so psychologically interesting, because some of the performers who appear the calmest on the outside are carrying enormous internal pressure. Gary has spoken openly over the years about all the self-doubt, very public criticism, and the crushing weight of expectations. And what I want to explore today with you is a pattern I see quite often in the performers I work with clinically. It's called conditional worth, and it is closely tied to perfectionism. And here is how it works. It starts very subtly, almost invisibly. And it often starts when we are young, when we really want to do well, maybe get out of our environment, like obviously Gary did, and he really wanted to do well and make it on a big stage. And it then also gets reinforced by people around us, right, who kind of comment on how well the show went, or how well you sang, or how well you composed. We can start attaching our sense of value to how well we perform when it happens. And it's not conscious at first. But that pattern can become very clear and well rehearsed over time. If the show goes well, you feel safe. If the audience responds positively, you feel worthy. If they receive, if you receive praise, you feel okay, right? But if something goes wrong, what then? The emotional crash can be quite disproportionate, because it's no longer I had a difficult performance, or I didn't do as well, it was a bad night. The fusion between performance and identity is incredibly common among all the musicians, actors, singers, speakers, dancers, and so on. And honestly, I just think about it, the more talented and more conscientious the performer, the more vulnerable they can be to this. Why? Because they really care deeply, very deeply. They are invested. They rehearse harder. They prepare more. They analyze every detail. From the outside, it can look like incredible dedication, and it is, but internally it can become also relentless. And this is where perfectionism comes in. I often say to the performing artists I work with, perfectionism is rarely about perfection. It's very much about protection. The belief underneath is, if I can just do everything perfectly, maybe I can avoid criticism, maybe I can avoid rejection, maybe I can avoid that humiliation. If we take it back to Gary Barlow, he experienced not just enormous success with Take That, but also very public, horrific amount of criticism. And psychologically, public criticism is particularly destabilizing for performers, because performing is already such a vulnerable and public act, right? You're placing yourself emotionally in front of people to be evaluated in real time. My gosh, I have so much respect for you for this kind of work. It's so tough. So when criticism becomes public or repeated, performers can develop what we call anticipatory anxiety and anticipatory shame. So they begin expecting judgment or mistakes and anxiety before it even happens. And the nervous system responds accordingly, right? Because if you think about it, if you think about what if, about all the critique that might come in, all the mistakes that might happen, right? You are giving your brain a catastrophic image, and then the nervous system will respond to it as if it's real. So whether it's real or imagined, the brain and the body respond. So you might notice that you are always scanning, always bracing, always monitoring for the next mistake. And over time, it can become really, really exhausting, emotionally and physically. Now, here is what I really want you to take from Gary's story. He came back, wow, big time, after the public criticism, after the self-doubt, after the periods of real struggle. He continued to create, to perform, to show up. And psychologically, that's resilience. Recognizing that it's been really tough, but this is what my passion. This is my passion. This is where my love is. This is my craft. So it's not the absence of struggle. It's not the absence of fear or self-doubt. We all experience them. Resilience is continuing despite it. And one of the most important psychological shifts a performer can make is learning to separate identity from outcome. And it can sound very trivial, but it's true. You are not your last audition. You are not that one review, definitely not. You are not one bad night. We all have them. Okay. Because when self-worth depends entirely on performance, anxiety becomes inevitable. The nervous system starts treating every performance as a survival threat. So the goal is not, in my view, to become fearless. It's to stay connected to yourself, even in the moments of fear or uncertainty. If any of this resonates, if you recognize yourself in the pattern of tying your worth to performance, or if your inner critic becomes particularly brutal after a mistake, I'd really encourage you to download my free Stage Fright Symptom Profiler. The link is below. It's completely free. It helps you identify your specific anxiety profile, because performance anxiety doesn't look the same in everyone. It also comes with the free FBI Reset Toolkit, which has a short audio. It's a grounding practice you can use backstage before you go on. Again, it's completely free. And once you've identified your profile, your anxiety profile, you can then go to the series on performance anxiety that I will link. And you can find a video that is about your subtype of anxiety. And it also comes with a little exercise specific to that anxiety type. So I really hope it helps. I'm Dr. Maya, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Performer's Mind.